spiritual principles of God. Joy. I do have a bit of housekeeping. I said this week's outline was submitted by Reverend Ray Fellows. This was actually from October 6th, but if you were here, remember we had a surprise guest speaker or two. So I recirculated this outline. You may have heard this talk before, but I guarantee I always change it a little. So, the book for the month was The Principle of Oneness by Russell Anthony Gibbs. Wrong specs. So, here's a quote from Dr. Holmes. Well, actually, I'm not sure. I think it's from Russell Anthony Gibbs. Choose to love every facet of yourself unconditionally. You are a complex, multidimensional being, and loving yourself requires identifying, accepting, and loving all of our seemingly different parts. This includes your personal self, broader self, other people, balance of the physical world, and the collective universe, God. So this one is a Dr. Holmes quote, and this was from his Sermon by the Sea at Asilomar in 1959. Everything that lives proclaims the glory of God. Every person who exists manifests the life of God. There is one spirit in which we live, one mind by which we think, one body of which we are a part, and one light that lighteth every man's pathway. Now, I would call your attention to the teaching symbol on the wall. That has one. It kind of demonstrates in three parts, but it's really one. I'm in a Troward class right now. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Judge Troward. He talks that we are the individual distributors of spirit. Leave them on. Tell people where you are. Take pictures. I'm serious. I got a ding, 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 ding during meditation, so I apologize for that. But it does not bother me to have phones on.
I find it distracting.
I want to go with Clarissa.
I'm sorry, but
Okay.
I just,
For me
I want to
personally,
listen to what you're
answer
saying.
the phone, we'll go, hey, we'll put them on the speaker. Welcome to Circle
No.
We
City.
could all start to salivate like Pavlovian
No.
dogs.
Hmm?
We could start to salivate like Pavlov's dogs
Yeah.
every time we hear the bell.
Anyway, it's all good. But back to Troward. So this concept that we're all distributors of spirit. And I look at this teaching symbol, and I came up with my own interpretation for the three levels. Top level, as we all know, is source, spirit. But after spending 30 years at an electric utility, I look at it as generation. The top third is generation, where power comes from. The second level would be transmission, the universal law. It's impersonal. How does power move across the country? Typically, it's just one country at a time. And then the third is distribution. Maybe I'm totally influenced by my corporate background.
Maybe.
But when he said we are distributors, that's what I saw. But it's still one source, one power, lighting up all our lives, which is what he said in this quote. One light that lighteth every man's pathway. How does that manifest? Take a look around. It manifests as each and every one of us, as one. One distribution of source. Now, the suggested science of mind point of view, of course, that was a slight deviation from the outline. Unity is the basis of all there is. There's but one God, one mind, one spirit, one power. When I embody myself in my thoughts selfishly, then I'm separating myself from that power. You might think, well, that's a very subtle step. That can't be the source of all our problems. But it is. It's the foundation of most of our problems, most of our troubles. When we're so hard on ourselves or others, we're unconsciously separating ourselves from our good. We separate ourselves from the law, which is the second. We separate ourselves from the source, and that is the source of all problems. So, I'd like to make 3 points about this. Number 1, have you misplaced God? There's a great difference in believing God to be within you or outside of you. For if God is outside of you, how are you going to be able to reach God? Who, not being some part of you, must then be a separate entity from you. How can you hope to unite parts that are different? But if God's already within you, being forever, perfect, and complete, there's no necessary reunion. There's nothing necessary to put the parts back together, for they're already one. God's already in your every act, every thought, every movement. It's in your plan, purpose, performance, and most of all, it's your presence. Humanity has been taught since the Adam and Eve story that there's a duality. There's God and everything else. There's God and me. God, Adam. God, Eve. God, serpent. It's not the truth. There's one God. There's evidence of dualism even in metaphysics. There's a belief that there's two kinds of reality: material, physical, that's us, and immaterial, spiritual. Are they separate? In philosophy of mind, dualism is the position that mind and body are in some categorical way separate from each other. That we are non-physical in nature. Acceptance of that idea causes this belief in duality. Causes extreme discomfort. When we embrace our negative emotions, we've aligned ourselves with that sense of duality. There's one, not two. Never forget that. Anywhere in the universe, just one. Now, Dr. Holmes often talked about the indwelling source. Moving back to Troward, he says, we exist within God, which means God exists within us. But everything that is within God. We can never be separated. It's a slight variation, and I think Dr. Holmes understood it that way, but I'm not sure it got presented that way. We exist entirely, completely, eternally within God, within Spirit. The Big Bang Theory is that everything that ever exists happened in the beginning. And God said, I'd like to experience myself uniquely. And he manifested as each and every one of us. And he continues to do that. And we have our own unique identity. We all have our own unique gifts and challenges because we don't accept, we don't understand, we don't have that firm conviction of our unity, our divine oneness. Deepak Chopra states there are two indicators of a realization of unity. And you measure yourselves on this. Number one, you stop worrying. Things don't bother you anymore. You become lighthearted and joyful. I become lighthearted and joyful. Sunday mornings, sitting in meditation. And then I go home and I get on the road and go, let's drive around. So I still have work to do. Just a little. Thank you, Susan, for not commenting.
I got a zipper.
Number two, from Deepak Chopra. You experience increased, meaningful coincidences, synchronicities in life. They accelerate to the point of it seems, it feels, it appears miraculous. I know from hearing stories that each one of you is experiencing that synchronicity in your life more and more and more. And I'm happy for you. That's, according to Deepak Chopra, it's not the ultimate, but he's pretty profound. That's an illustration of your personal realization of unity, of oneness. Now I want to quote a philosopher from about 150 years ago. Peace will come to the hearts of men when they realize their oneness with the universe. It is everywhere. Black Elk, from Black Elk Speaks. From Science of Mind. When we are willing to lose a personal sense of responsibility, when we let go of the thought of isolation and claim a real unity with God, then we lose the personal and find the universal. But remember, as the greater always includes the lesser, so the universal always includes the personal, which is a personification of itself. The more we lose that personal sense of duality, the more spiritual we become. And the more our uniqueness is personified. Because Spirit had a plan, a demonstration. The more you relax into that, the more you express your personal manifestation of divinity. It's almost counterintuitive, but it's not. Number two, unity does not mean uniformity. Our unity with other people doesn't mean that we must think and act as they do. All it means is that we should get along with them. We should unify with everything. We should dance with friends, family from around the world, while at the same time keeping intact and whole that God-given something at the center of our being. And that's the spiritual ego, according to Living the Science of Mind from 1984. Dr. Albert Einstein. Reality is merely an illusion, albeit a pleasant one. So if this is an illusion, what's the reality? Well, he went on in another quote. A person experiences life as something separated from the rest. It's a kind of optical delusion of consciousness. Our task must be to free ourselves from this self-imposed prison. True compassion to find the reality of oneness. That sounds more like Dr. Holmes than Dr. Einstein, but I like it. I picked up this quote off the internet. I probably will mispronounce it, and I've never heard. I don't even know if it's man or female. The essence of spirituality is to be constantly aware of the oneness of all, at the same time to celebrate the uniqueness of the individual. That's from Yagi Vasudev. Yagi Vasudev, anybody know? Not even Peter knows, so that's really up. So how do we balance our awareness of oneness while celebrating all the different characteristics that we demonstrate? One of the ways is through this beautiful teaching symbol. The V that comes down. I don't know how many of you heard this aspect. That stands for involution. When spirit made a decision to involve itself in matter. Involution. Have you guys heard that term before? Kate has. As a practitioner now. So what's evolution? That's when we exercise our personal factor and we intend to express spirit, and we switch from receiving spirit to transmitting. And we evolve, we expand our consciousness back up into the realm of spirit. So there's involution, spirit coming in, evolution, spirit expressing itself as us, through us, and back to a power concept. It's polarity. Polarity is different poles. Giving, receiving, positive, negative. It's all one. Magnets aren't different pieces. Oh, this is a positive magnet, that's not a negative magnet. They're one. They have polarity. So do each of us, because we're one. According to the outline, you can think of unity as a tapestry. It's right and necessary that we should be individuals. If any two persons were alike, one would be unnecessary. Nature doesn't waste things. If you were exactly alike, that'd be redundant. You wouldn't be needed. But you're different. You are needed. Spirit needs you to be you. Emerson said that imitation is suicide. The divine spark never made any two things alike. There's not two rose bushes alike. There's not two incredibly beautiful snowflakes alike. Not two grains of sand alike. And certainly not two persons alike. We're all unique. We each wear a different face behind the one presence, God. Unity does not mean uniformity. Unity means that everything draws its strength, its power, its ability to exist from one source. One life flows through everything. But that life is never monotonous. It's forever doing new things in you and me as us. That's from Science of Mind. Spiritually speaking, we're all part of one big energy organism. You could call it a tapestry if you want. Expressing itself, the seen and the unseen. It's an intricate illusion of varying vibration. From quantum physics, we know everything is energy. A rock has a different vibration than a dog. A dog has a different energetic vibration than a person. But it's all energy. The lower vibrations are easier to see, each of us, and the higher vibrations remain unseen. Physicist Neil deGrasse Tyson, we are all connected to each other biologically, to the earth chemically, to the rest of the universe. We are connected atomically. That's from physics. Many of you are familiar with the works of Nana Brooks from Mysteries. Since unity is the basic principle of universal expression, let us base our living, our thinking, and our doing upon this law. When we live true to the basis, the hard experiences of the external pass away, and our days grow restful, free, and full of joy. That which we experience in the spirit of unity cannot limit us. That's from Nana Brooks. Bishop Desmond Tutu. A person with Ubuntu is open and available to others, affirming of others, doesn't feel threatened when others are able and good. For he or she has a proper self-assurance from knowing that he or she belongs in a greater whole and is diminished when others are humiliated or diminished, when others are tortured or oppressed. That diminishes all of us because that energy is rising. So what does that say? When we honor and cherish and love each other, that's the evolution side of it. So I have a final question. Are you as open and available for yourself as you are for others? I truly believe in each of you as the spiritual gifts, the answers to the problems that our beautiful planet Earth needs right now. Thank you for being who you are, the gift, the presence. I'll read a final affirmation. affirmation, and this is from Judge Thomas Troward from the Edinburgh Lectures. As our consciousness of unity becomes more perfect, so will the life-givingness of the Spirit become more apparent. Namaste.